Warning, the following audio transmission is based on theory and is intended for entertainment purposes only. It's Doomsday and its affiliates will not be held liable for anything your dumbass does. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome everybody to It's Doomsday podcast. Today is December 22nd, 2022. Time is 5 p.m. and joining me as always is Big Daddy Prep. What's going on, man?
Hey, man. I'm good, other than the fact that I started out with good weather this morning and I've gone to crappy weather this evening. Other than that, the world's good. But we knew this was coming in, so we kind of been preparing for it. But it is very sudden. Let me say that.
Now, so one thing I want to stress to the listeners out there right now is, guys, Al and I are pre-recording so we don't have to record over the holidays, so we can get a little bit of time off from doing the show. So this episode, what we're talking about tonight is what could go wrong if you don't prep for the winter. What can actually go wrong? What could happen, right? And it's kind of counterproductive. We're recording this episode and then the winter storm's going to hit. Then this episode's going to go out. So it's like, well, this isn't so much of a help you out type episode as much as it is a hindsight's 2020 episode.
Right. Well, Jester, there's a lot of there's about the next 72 hours all across the the middle of America, through the southeast, and some of the northeast too is going to get this. So if you're listening in the next couple of days, this is a plan, or what you saw that you had a mistake this time with, you're hearing things that you should do the next time.
Right, exactly. And guys, absolutely take notes. Now, before we get into this, Merry Christmas, guys. I hope everybody had a very Merry Christmas.
Right.
I hope everybody I hope everybody had a good, safe holiday. And nothing bad happened and everybody made it home safe and nobody got too intoxicated and drove and, all those good things. Just hope everybody got home safe, things like that, got to see family, didn't fight with your family too much, all that good stuff. With that said, guys, the point of this episode was to talk about primarily what can happen if you don't do this winter prepping. So some of you are going to be experiencing this right now. So I want you guys to take some notes on this because maybe we could help you fix it, or maybe we can help prevent it for next year like Al mentioned. I'd like to start first and foremost with the water lines in your home.
Right.
That's where I'd like to start with. So, number one, for everybody out there, if your water lines froze up, do not go and thaw them out with a freaking blowtorch. Get out of that mindset. A lot of people burn their houses down doing that shit. It is not as effective as what you think it is because copper acts as a heat sink, pretty much.
Yep.
And it's basically dispersing the heat out while you have a chunk of ice inside the pipe, right?
Absolutely.
So
that's why we use them on stills, because it disperses heat very well.
So, I mean, you're going to be there for a very long time trying to get those water lines thawed out. Honestly, guys, best thing to do, if you don't have any breaks and there's not a lot of water in the area, utilize a freaking space heater or a heat lamp. Okay, are your best bets. Let the whole area warm up. Don't just worry about applying heat directly to the wall. Eventually, those pipes are going to thaw out. Eventually, it's going to happen. And the pressure in the lines is going to open that up. Now, there is another flip side to this, too. When this happens, it's not just water lines that could freeze up. Some people have their well pumps, like their shallow pumps and things underneath their house, and those can freeze up. And then they could run and they could bleed the system dry. Right.
Absolutely.
So I've seen it happen to where these well pumps are not getting water feed because the feed line in has froze up. And then, you bleed out the pressure in the lines in your home, and then these pumps continuously run till they burn themselves up.
Happens all the time.
Yeah.
I don't have a well like that runs like that, but it happens to people all the time. It just depends on what your situation with getting water or getting rid of water. Because a lot of times we pay attention to how the water comes in, we don't pay attention to how the water goes out. See, that's what my problem was last year, Jester. We had no issue with water lines. Everything's good. Nothing's froze. Everything's great, except for a 18-inch, we figure, 18-inch piece of drain line coming out of our washing machine. Yeah, it froze up. Ask me how 18 inches freezes up, but the rest doesn't. I have no idea, but it's an issue for us. We found out last year because it backed up on us. So yes, this is not only water coming in, this is also water going out, depending on what kind of systems you have. So check it out ahead of time.
So yeah, absolutely. And to go into this a little bit more, so let's say this pump is under your house, all right, and it gets bled dry of water, and it's running nonstop, running itself dry. These things can become extremely hot. Like, will burn yourself on them, can start fires hot, right?
Yes, sir.
So definitely, guys, keeping these pumps, the water flow going to them, keeping them insulated is key, 100%. If you do not have the actual heat tape that goes on the water lines, very least get some insulation and throw it over there. Leave the faucet cracked if you can, if you're capable of doing that. The heat cabling that you wrap around these stuff, guys, you can get this at Lowe's, Home Depot, I think even Walmart has it, and it's relatively inexpensive. I mean, a little piece to do one water line, if it's the primary area you're worried about failure, just do it. And especially insulating after the fact, because I'm going to tell you guys what, one of the biggest factors with this stuff is the wind chill. That's what makes these lines and things end up freezing up, right? You could be sitting at, you could be bouncing 32, 33 degrees and not suffer a freeze, and then you put a 10-degree wind chill on top of that, and then it's freezing for sure.
That's right. It's not just the cold temperature itself. That wind just drops it. That's why we have a wind chill factor. And folks, let me tell you something. That wind gets a whipping around. It may not seem like it's that cold where you're at if you're blocked from the wind, but where your pipes are at, underneath your house where the wind's whipping through, could be 15, 20 degrees colder. So, yeah, definitely freezing.
Right, and let's get into the wind chill factor a little bit with this, guys. So here's something to really consider and think about. Well, actually, before we get into that, guys, the repairs of getting these pumps replaced, getting them fixed, getting a plumber to come out and do this, these repairs are very costly. We know that, right? So if you're like, man, I don't really want to go out and spend $50 on, a heat lamp and heat tape and, pipe insulation, that's cool, because that pump you're going to replace is going to cost a lot more money, and that plumber is going to charge you a lot more than $50 an hour to come out there and do that work.
Absolutely. That's if you can get the pump or get the plumber.
Right. And
because we have a supply issue, and then also construction people issue right now.
Right. And think about it this too. This is around the holidays, Al. These guys might be like, yeah, I'll come out after the new year. I'm enjoying my vacation.
My theory on that is anything between Christmas and New Year's is triple.
There you go.
And that's standard procedure. So yeah, you don't want to do that.
No, definitely not. But yeah, so the wind chill, let's talk about that for a second. So guys, when that wind gets whipping, it finds itself into many different crevices of your home. It finds itself underneath of your home. If you have any elevated structures, sealing up the bottom of those, whether it be with siding, cardboard, plastic, anything you could do to stop the wind from getting in, is going to help. It's going to help reduce your heating bills, and it's going to help save your water lines as well, right?
No question.
There's people that live in mobile homes that will actually go out and buy straw and just line the bottom of their mobile homes with it temporarily for the winter, to stop that wind chill factor. So there are a lot of little things you could do in that regard.
Jester, I'm a guy that says if you go the simplest route, that's the most low tech route, then maybe it won't fail on you when, everything goes down. I got friends of mine that use the electrical tape. They have all these little things that tell it when to come on, when to come off. But, when you get these frigid temperatures, all kinds of things quit working. When you get down to 0 degrees or below, a lot of electronics don't work. So, if you've got a system that keeps something from burning up, it may not work in very cold temperatures.
Hey preppers, do you want 10% off survival food? Go to www.readywise.com and use code DOOM10 at checkout for 10% off all your survival food needs. Again, that's code DOOM10 at checkout at readywise.com, DOOM10 for 10% off at readywise.com. That's a very good point. And I remember back in the day growing up north and, going out and taking space heaters to warm something up. Al, I didn't even know this, but electricity is affected by the cold. All right?
Absolutely.
So you would plug an extension cord into this heater. You'd have to wait a while. Like, I don't remember how long it was, but I remember sitting there for like a good 20, 30 seconds waiting for this thing to start up because, like, the electrical cord was warming up.
Right.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Anything over 100-foot cord starts dropping significant amperage. So, yeah, you're not getting on the other end what you thought you were getting out of the socket itself.
No, but it was just so weird. I mean, to turn on the space heater to warm up this area we were doing and having a delay in electricity because of how cold it was, I was like, that's never happened before. But it is a thing.
It is.
So, all right, so we kind of covered the basis of the water lines. We kind of covered the wind chill basis a little bit, right? Let's talk about what comes else with this cold weather, and that is ice.
Animals.
Oh yeah, we should get into that too.
Animals. Folks, I know Jester's got a whole list of topics, and I'm just going to say this to you. Your animals, whether it be your dogs, whether it be your chickens, your goats, your hogs, they're animals, yes. But if they're confined, if they're a domesticated animal and they're confined, find a way for them to stay warm or try to. That's the issue I'm dealing with now, trying to keep chickens warm. I hope I can significantly, but we've not dealt with like single digits in quite a while. But please take care of your animals, because if they depend on you, they can't take care of themselves. I'll leave it at that. But your dogs, your cats, your whatever it might be that you have, take care of it. Try to keep it warm. Try to keep water and feed, and definitely try to keep it from having any significant injuries during the cold season.
So yeah, let's tap into that a little bit, guys. So number one is, check this out. So what we do is we straw everything. We straw the goat houses, the dog houses. Everything gets filled full of straw, right? It creates a little bit of an insulation barrier for the animals. They can bed down in it. It helps keep them warm. So we do a lot of straw. Last year, what we did with the dog's house was we went down to Harbor Freight and we got a bunch of those Harbor Freight moving blankets and nailed them up all around and inside the doghouse, right? That's what we did. The dog looked at those. He left them up for a day, then promptly ripped them all down. He didn't like them.
Yep.
So now we're like, okay, well, the only option we have now is straw. So we strawed the hell out of everything. Okay. Same with the goats and the chickens and all that. For the love of God, guys, do not put heat lamps in areas with straw. Do not put them in the chicken coop. Do not do it. A lot of these animals are designed for colder temperatures. Doing the straw is going to be enough. If you're really that worried outside of that, bring the animals in if you have a place for them. But animals do not understand what electricity is, nor do they understand it's dangerous if they knock over a heat lamp into straw.
Right.
You don't want to inadvertently kill your animals by trying to keep them warm, right? So
I've seen it happen before.
Yep.
I've seen it myself.
So definitely avoid doing that. Some other preps for the animals, guys, just since we're on this topic. Water. Just because it's cold out doesn't mean the animals need to hydrate less, and water tends to freeze. You've seen ice cubes before, right, Al?
Yep. And, during a 2-week freeze, think about this for a minute. If the water was froze for 2 weeks and you didn't get a drink for 2 weeks, would you be thirsty? Would you die? We talk about water all the time. Animals need water too. And if it's froze for 2 weeks and you don't give them any water, you've starved of water.
Right. That's it. At that point, you're dead. Right. I mean,
you're dead.
So anyway, to go on from that, The other thing, guys, is the food too. You know, having them have good food because you know when you get cold, you shiver, you burn calories, right? So the animals need the food and water. Don't neglect that. Periodically check on that. Make sure their water's thawed out. Make sure they have that. Other than that, the only thing I would say also about the animals, guys, is do what you can to keep them dry because when it gets wet and then gets cold, it's even worse. Yeah. So if you're in a situation where you got freezing rain and then it's going down to 10 degrees, do what you can to keep these animals dried out because that's a big deal as well. So we covered, I'm trying to think where I was moving to next. So we covered the wind chill, we covered the water lines, covered the animals. Where was I going next?
What about heat? Because, you know, your primary heat source, it may not stick around for very long. So, folks, I always preach secondary, third, whatever it might be, however many layers that you want, but you need a secondary heat source. If you don't have one, you need one. Go get one now. I went to even make sure I had like 4 sources this week. I went and bought another source of heat to be able to use just regular propane heat if I had to, not unvented at my house. So don't start that, folks. But vented. But I did that because you know heat's big. Your primary source may go out real quickly.
Right, exactly. And I mean, here's the other thing too. My wife went out, so we have a few different heating sources. Like I have a bunch of the heat lamps. I keep some by the well pump to keep it thawed out. We have heat lamps in the greenhouse, and I have a few other ones floating around for areas that are safe to put them. You know.
Yep.
The wife went out, and she ended up buying 2 buddy heaters with the attachments to go to the larger, like, grill-size propane tank. She just went out and bought 2 of those yesterday because she's worried about what's coming. And that's odd for her to be worried. But we already had the buddy heater. We already had one of them. And we also have a multi-fuel torpedo heater, which isn't something you're supposed to run indoors. However, we got it for the idea something's froze up, we need to thaw it out, we need to heat something up real quick, et cetera, right? Our primary heat source in our house is heat. We have a backup propane fireplace that I still have yet to install, but it's there. The generators we have can power the heat, but let's be honest, running that's not going to be very efficient. You're going to be burning through a shit ton of gas. So it doesn't make sense to do that. So getting these small little backup kerosene heaters, guys, and the little buddy propane heaters, or adding a ventless propane to your house, something along those lines, is great, especially if you have the capability of adding a wood furnace. That's just amazing, you know. Moving on from that, one thing I did want to tackle too, Al, is ice.
Yes, ice is. I just about had my first experience of the ice of the year a few minutes ago because I like to slipped and busted my hind end just with a little bit of freezing we've got right now. So yes, ice is a thing that can catch you very quickly. You don't even know you're in it till you're already on the ground.
Exactly. And guys, I think I said this in one of the shows a while ago, but you know, my dad, he had to get knee surgery. He slipped and fell on the ice, popped his kneecap, and a piece chipped off and like went kind of in the hinge of his knee, and he had to go out and get it surgically removed. It was bad. So when we talk about ice, there's a few things to think about. Number one is the idea of a slip and fall, right? That can happen to anybody. I don't care how old or young you are. It happens, guys. If you have the ice melt stuff, I know I stock up on it after the winter, so I've got a few jugs of it at the house. I wait till the after winter sales and I go buy it up. So if you've got ice melt, definitely have that on hand, ready to go out. Don't have it buried somewhere where you can't find it because that's not going to do you any good, right?
Nope. Not any good at all if you don't have it.
The other thing is guys, you know, ice will accumulate on your car, on your windshield, things like that. Do not go out and throw hot water on your car. Don't do that shit.
Don't do that. God knows don't do that. I had to figure that out the hard way because I moved from Florida to Arkansas, and I didn't even put hot water. I thought water that was like the right temperature to throw in there. And yeah, don't do that. It's a bad idea, folks. I was young when I did that. Don't do that.
So that's one thing, you know, the ice that accumulates on your vehicle, handrails, stairs, all these things. Be very weary of ice. And then also, I'll tell you guys this too. Ice makes everything harder to work with and harder to work on. All right? Yep. clean up the tools, put the tools away. Don't leave anything out in this. If you have a snow shovel, put it in outside of the snow. Don't leave it out there. Don't leave the snow blower outside. When these things ice over, they become a pain in the ass to work with.
Yep. I've got one, Jester, just about, you're talking about working on things in the cold, and it's very hard to work. Folks, if your hands are getting cold, by the time they get cold, they're already too cold. Pretty soon you're not going to be able to do anything with them. So try to conserve. People tell me all the time, oh, how you wear gloves for this or that and the other. But I don't want my fingers to get to where I can't do anything or I can't feel anything. It's real hard to work on things. I've actually gotten so cold before I couldn't feel my hands. I'm like, this isn't going to work. So get you a pair of gloves and throw them in your toolbox because you will need them one of these days. I promise you.
That's a good point. So being properly insulated, not just gloves, hats, jackets, socks, boots, overalls, whatever you got to do to keep warm when you're working outside. And we've said this not too long ago in another episode, but it's harder to work in these kind of conditions, trudging through the snow, extra clothes on, extra weight. We talked about how a lot of people had heart attacks and stuff during this time of the year because of this. I mean, you don't want to go out just to shovel snow and drop dead. All right.
Jester, also on top of that, let me say this to folks. I know everybody claims that, in the first year, everybody's going on a diet and all this stuff. But folks, understand when the cold weather, when you're out and you're trying to warm your body up, maybe you're going straight from your vehicle to your car to do your work or wherever. But if you get caught outside, you burn a lot of calories trying to stay warm. On top of that, generally when people are trapped out like that, they burn through more calories just worrying about things. So folks, listen, keep some extra food rations that won't freeze and bust, something in your vehicle, because if you get trapped out someplace, your body takes a lot more calories to try to stay warm in the cold. That's just a little thing that I know how many calories your body takes to stay warm, and it's a lot more than you think it is.
So and I just want to just kind of reiterate for people, guys. I know we've covered this stuff on the show before, but right now, the reason why we covered it is for what you guys already saw just over the weekend here. You guys are listening to this Monday morning or Monday at some point driving down the road if you're not stuck in the snow. Okay. Al and I are sitting here pre-recording this, and there's like this huge storm coming that everybody knows about, and it's got all these different names online and stuff. My favorite one I've seen so far is the bomb cyclone.
Yeah, I've heard the Polar Express. I've heard that so many, or the Siberian Express all week. So yeah, it's cold air, and sudden cold air. You don't get like a workup to this.
No,
it's pretty sudden. I mean, it dropped like 20 or 30 degrees here real quick.
Right. So, I mean, it's like I said, it's going to be, I think, Friday night, tomorrow night, Al, I think it's going to be below 10 degrees where I'm at. Okay. And the wind chill is going to pull it down to like negative 20.
That's bad.
So I'm sitting here and my wife's worried. I'm worried. Everybody's worried now. It's like, well, we're about to be in the shit. There's not much we can do now except hunker down. Now we've got a ton of bottles of water. We've got a lot of stuff kind of, ready to go for when things break bad. But I'm going to tell you what, like I'm sitting here just thinking to myself, there are things that could go wrong that I'm not prepared for.
Absolutely. It happens.
And that's the big thing here, and I'm just kind of pushing along, trudging ahead just to make sure that we have the things we need and to make sure everything's fine. And there's some last minute things I have to do tonight and tomorrow to prepare for this, but I mean, it's coming and there's no escaping this. And the thing is, when we talk about this, and this is what, like, I kind of feel like an idiot to an extent, and I'm going to tell you why. Every year we get a winter. Every year we deal with winter conditions, but all year long we ignore it. I do, right?
I do too.
And now here we are, and it's like I got all this last minute shit to do. It's like, well, why don't I just have this? I'm a prepper. Why don't I have this all done already?
Well, here's the thing, Jester. The things that you plan for the cold, they inhibit you during the rest of the year. You don't wrap up your faucets the rest of the year because you're using them. You don't do this or that or the other because you're using that or you're doing this. But understand, like, we're here, and not only are we getting sleet and snow, but we're getting very, very strong winds. So, yeah, I got a flagpole out here that's probably in bad shape. I'll just be honest with you. So wind is along with this. So, we don't want to put everything up during the time of year we want to use all our stuff outside. But in these winter storms, they come with a lot of wind. So maybe you need to secure things, lock things down, or at least make it easier if you have to do it suddenly, so it's not such a big task.
Exactly. And guys, I want to going through the news here, just reading some stories out, and they're now canceling flights. They're canceling thousands of flights across the country due to this storm surge. And I'm willing to bet a lot of these flights were people traveling to see loved ones on the holidays. So, you know, feel bad for these guys because, you know, your family might not be coming, or you might not be able to go see your family. And I'm just looking through here. Man, 1,500 flights canceled. Chicago, nearly 800 Chicago flights canceled due to the winter storms. I guess it's too hazardous out there to fly for some of these areas, and they're like, no, we're shutting it down.
Right.
So,
And have patience also with people in services, folks, whether it be 911, whether it be the stores. Have patience for people that are working there and doing the job, because they might be working. You don't know. They might be working severely and, staff short because they don't have anybody. My wife works at a financial institution. They called her and said, hey, come on back for lunch because we're sending you home. So these things happen. People were shorthanded during this time of the year.
exactly. So, Al, another thing I wanted to get into with this was the idea of the power outage dealing with this as well. It's not uncommon during a winter storm for power to go out, right?
No.
A car's on an icy road, slides into a pole, takes the pole out. Or, I mean, we've had, growing up, we got the power outages in the wintertime mainly due to ice developing on trees toppling over, or branches falling on the lines and taking the lines out, or there was so much accumulated ice and snow on the lines that it just caused the lines to snap.
One of our sons is a high voltage lineman, and between the wind, the snow, the sleet, all that, the lines are going to come down, and sometimes they're not that easy to fix, folks. They're also, understand, parts are hard to get nowadays for a lot of these big companies, so they may not have a lot of transformers. If a bunch go out, you could literally be out of power for 2 or 3 weeks. I've seen that here.
Exactly. And guys, and here's the thing too, you got to remember, if the lines are down because of severe ice, those service trucks aren't getting out there till the roads are clear. Right.
They're not going to move until it's clear to move or safe to move.
Right. Yeah. The electrical companies are not going to put their employees at risk to get your TV back on. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So, if your power goes out, you could be without power for quite a while. And that's why, I'm talking about, I have heat sources that don't require electricity. Okay.
Right. Or you have a backup mode of electricity also,
right,
for those things that are electrical. So that's a good thing.
So I just want you guys to understand, if things really do break bad, you might be stuck for a while and you might be hunkering down. And guys, this is that time, and it really sucks we're doing this after the fact of the storm, because we could be talking now and nothing could have happened, or everything could have went horribly, horribly wrong.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, right now, the way it's blowing here, I know we're gonna sooner or later, someone in our county will be out of power. But before midnight, we'll have outages. It's standard, but it's those long-term outages. We don't know if there's a swath of 100 miles of, heavy precipitation, lots of ice, and then what happens? The lines come down. It could be a large area of people without power for weeks. Sometimes it happens. That's not always just fun and games. When we say that emergencies happen, well, you don't know about emergencies ahead of time. A disaster, we've not had a really polar type disaster in a long time, unless you count Texas. If you count Texas a couple of years ago, yes. But as far as actual cold with lots of outages, we've not had that in a long time.
No, and my in-laws are traveling up tomorrow. They're leaving in the morning, and they're coming up, and they're traveling up from Florida. And Al, I'm going to tell you what, I'm like worried they're not going to be able to make it in, because so for us where we're at, it's supposed to start raining in the middle of the night tonight. it's supposed to start raining, and then we're getting freezing temperatures overnight. Okay? So I'm expecting to wake up tomorrow and have everything just be a sheet of ice. That's what I'm expecting to happen here.
Yeah.
And then we're going to be maintaining some really cold temperatures. Like I'm going back and I'm looking now, Al, and for Friday, it's telling me it's going to be 7 degrees here. That's the low. And then the high is going to be 23.
Okay.
So everything's going to be frozen.
Supposedly, we're going to get what we're getting now. We're going to drop down tonight, not hardly come up at all tomorrow here. And then tomorrow night be as cold, if not colder. But now, within about 72 hours, we start to climb up out of this. And in a week from now, we show to be 59 degrees, I believe a week from Friday. So,
yeah,
is that crazy or what?
Yeah, that's about where we're at too. Like I'm going back and looking at this, and it seems like by next week, we're going to be back where we are now.
Yep.
So it is this weird cold snap that's happening. Like they're talking about this big winter storm that's coming down. And guys, these things, I mean, right now we're in a day and age where we have technology. We can monitor some of these things, and we can get prepared for them. You know, so let's say the internet went out, or your power went out, or you didn't have anybody to give you an update what was happening, and this shit just hit you one night, right? You'd be in a really, really bad spot.
Absolutely.
And just FYI for you guys, it doesn't take 24 hours to freeze to death.
No.
You know,
it can happen very quickly in a few hours. Yes, in a few hours it can happen if the temperature plunges. But Jester, we talk about being prepared, all year long, folks. Having these supplies that we talk about is a big advantage for you. The backups that we always recommend, that most of you have gone out and got backups to your heat and everything, it's a big advantage to you. But there are going to be a lot of people out there that they don't prepare ahead of time. It's going to totally catch them off guard. They're generally the people that the next year are searching for things early, because once you learn a harsh lesson, generally you want to change it. That's why we're seeing such a big influx in prepping over the last couple of years, is because of some of the things that happened to Texas 2 years ago. Nobody saw that coming, and unfortunately, it's coming again.
Right, and it kind of, like, I'm understanding that everybody's going and they're getting prepared now, and they're doing this, they're doing that, but I'm also seeing a lot of people, and I mean these are people that are older. They're not necessarily younger people. And it's like they're even confused about what to do and what's going on. And I'm thinking, you've been on this planet a long time. Have you never experienced this before? Did you move from somewhere else where you didn't have to experience this? Did you have somebody around that was helping you, previous to this, and you didn't have to worry about it? And I mean, that's a lot of what it is. People are moving around, new environments, new elements, and they're just like, I don't know what to do, because my pappy's pappy didn't grow up here, and it's not a family tradition to go split firewood and get prepared for the winter. It's not a thing, right?
Yeah, but that's where you have to learn from your environment. A good prepper learns from their environment, and it's hard sometimes when you move to a new area. Everything changes.
Oh, it absolutely does, and I mean, but that's what Al and I are here to help you guys with, to try to help you for these circumstances you don't know about, and to try to help get you ready for, the bad things that are potentially coming. That's, our overall goal here.
And Jester, we've had a great year this year. Our listenership has just skyrocketed. Things have been really great for us, and I think that's because there's a genuine want out there in the community to learn how to be prepared, not to have to suffer all these tragic losses. There was tragedies that people passed away a couple of years ago in Texas because of the freeze, and that caused a whole new influx of prepper crowd. So that's a good thing. But folks, what we say, you really need to pay attention to. And if you don't want to believe us, hey, you can always go out and do your research. But I assure you, we try to give you the most concise, best worldly knowledge that we can possibly bestow to you. But these situations that happen, man, sometimes you hear about them, but then a lot of things we talk about, like tornadoes and things like that, they just suddenly hit you. But being prepared is going to help you out in a lot of situations, because most of the things that you do for one bad situation, well, it works for several others too.
Right. And, so check this out. It's basically, Al, this is, any survival situation when we talk about the winter stuff. You've got your water, shelter, and those are the two big ones here, the water and the shelter. So you think about it, we're preaching the same message we always do. You got to have your water, you got to have your shelter. In the case of cold weather, you need to have that shelter heated, insulated. You need that heat source so you don't freeze to death, right? But it still falls under the shelter thing. Now, we're not talking about, this lasting for 3 weeks and the whole world shutting down. But if I were you, I would still have a good food supply and things that are easy to cook. And maybe some things you don't have to cook, right? Because if the power's out and you're sitting there freezing, you're going to want some hot food. So having a little camp stove or a sterno or something to heat up some good soup or, anything really, a can of beans, something, to eat. And I'm wondering, and the thing that sucks is this is about to hit right before Christmas. So I wonder how many people are actually going to be able to enjoy their Christmas dinners and things like that with this coming. Hey preppers, do you want 10% off survival food? Go to www.readywise.com and use code DOOM10 at checkout for 10% off all your survival food needs. Again, that's code DOOM10 at checkout at readywise.com, DOOM10 for 10% off at readywise.com.
There's going to be a restricted travel. I see that coming because there's going to be a lot of places people aren't going to want to drive in the next couple of days. They were calling for this being one of the largest traveled holidays in, I think, 10, 15 years because of COVID. A couple of years ago, people couldn't go, and there was a lot of people planning on being on the roads. But just a piece of advice. If you wonder whether you can get there or it's bad enough that you say, I don't know if I can make it, it might be best that you don't try it. Some things are just best left alone. I'm not saying, like they said a couple of years ago, don't go see your family because of COVID. But I'm saying if it's a 200-mile trip and you're not used to driving in the ice and it really gets bad in your area, you have to kind of look at what's the best for the situation. Maybe it's not long travel.
No, I agree with that, Al. And I mean, that's a good point. I mean, I just think in general, guys, know your limitations.
Yep.
Know
what you're capable of.
Identify identify the limitations, and do not put you, your family, your children, anybody in harm's way. Right?
Yep. Right.
And that's all it is. I remember, so we lived on a hill, Al, and it wasn't plowed often or salted or anything. So we would have a hell of a time getting up and going down, things like that. The highway was right at the bottom, so it wasn't uncommon for somebody to slide out into the main road, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, there was times where, my mom would call me, hey, I'm stuck at the bottom of the hill. I need somebody to come get me. There was times a girlfriend would call and like, hey, I can't get up your driveway. It's too snowy, etc. And there was times where I was just driving down back roads. I go up over a hillside. I'm coming down the other side. It's ice. I can't stop.
I've been in. It's scary too, is it not?
Yeah.
The first time, it's definitely scary.
Yeah, when you realize you're fully out of control and you can't do anything about it, that's when it's bad, right? That's when that fear kicks in, and you're like, I can't prevent, I can't stop, the brakes aren't doing anything, the gas pedal isn't doing anything. I'm just along for the ride. That's when it's scary.
That's when we test the sphincter strength. Sphincter strength.
It is.
I'm telling you, my first time ever doing it, was the last time I ever wanted to do it. Then I learned how to do it, and I didn't worry about it. But the first time, yeah, it's pretty rough. And if you've never lived in an environment, I lived in Florida a lot of years. People didn't think I knew anything about driving in ice when I got to Arkansas, and I could drive better than most of them could. But I knew how to do it. I had done it before. But if you don't do it, folks, don't go out there practicing on somebody else's dime. Don't go out there and get somebody else killed. And definitely be careful. I mean, if you think you need to drive 10 miles an hour, you probably need to drive 5. Okay? I'm just being honest with you.
Oh, yeah. And guys, here's the other thing. It's not just you. It's the other people that are out on the road as well.
Right.
So you may be doing everything right, and some other jackwagon is like, oh, let me see how fast I can go down this icy road.
Yep.
And then he plows into you and kills you.
Right.
So there, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's better to just take precaution. Don't leave unless you absolutely have to. Just stay home, right? Trust me, you're not missing out on anything if you don't get a new video game from Walmart or something to that effect. You're
Right.
going to be fine if you stay at home an extra day. It's totally okay.
Right. Ask yourself this: is what I'm going to do worth dying for?
Right.
Or
Is it even
or do
worth
I need to
risking it?
do it because I am dying? You know, I mean, that's where you got to kind of weigh that off there. Is this worth this or not? You know, and I do that a lot of times. I'm going, it ain't worth it. Forget it. It ain't that big a thing. So just weigh it out, folks. You use good knowledge, good sound skills, brain skills I call them, old brain skills. Use the brain a little bit.
Exactly. I couldn't agree with that statement more. Use the brain a little bit, guys, and you won't
Yeah,
get yourself into these bad
that's right.
scenarios.
But it's just like jumping in a vehicle and going on a 250-mile ride right now, and all this ice to see grandma packing nothing to eat, no water, no nothing, having a wreck or getting off the road on a curve on a bad road that nobody goes down. Now you got you and your 5 kids and your wife, and you're out there with nothing to eat. It's cold, it's freezing, the temperature's dropping. You run out of fuel because you didn't fill it up. All these things happen. People say, "Oh, that never happens." Happens every year.
Mm-hmm.
Why should it happen to you?
You're right.
Use the old brain.
So, I mean, and, one other thing I got for this, guys, and again, all this is being said after the fact, after Christmas, all these things, but ensuring you have proper food in your fridge and things so you don't have to leave last minute for the gallon of milk or the loaf of bread, things like that.
Yep.
Just in general. And again, this is an after the fact episode, so it's kind of, it's all hindsight. It's all just, we should have did this last week.
Well, but the thing is, Jester, it's good in some ways because we're talking about the things you should do and the things that we hope that you do, and people are going to be able to assess what happened in the last week. Maybe nothing happened. Maybe everything is great, and I'll pray it is because with Christmas on and all. But if something did shortfall, if you did have a power outage and your secondary heat source didn't work as good as you thought it was going to, that gives you a chance to go, oh, hold on a minute. I'm fixing to fix that. Oh, I'm not. No, we weren't cold, but we could have been. That's what people get the old brain juices thinking later on. And I'm glad that maybe after the fact they're hearing this because they see where the mistakes were. And they're like, yeah, maybe I should have done that. And folks, I don't care what anybody tells you. Don't eat snow and don't eat ice. Don't go out there and eat snow and ice. That drops your body temperature. No matter what idiot tells you to do that, don't overdo that. You need to melt water down. If you get stuck in a situation where living means eat ice and snow, don't eat ice and snow. I'm just going to say that because it's something I hear people say all the time. Oh, you can just eat ice and snow. No, you can't.
No, don't do it.
Don't do it.
It's not going to do you well. You're going to end up burning up more calories trying to reheat your internal temperature. Right. It's just not good, guys.
Don't do it. But people do it every year, Jester. And then I hear people all the time, you have these so-called experts, they'll recommend it. I'm like, expert of what? What are you the expert of? I mean, come on, man. That's crazy. But, we've had a good year this year, and we put out a lot of good information about weather and cold and stuff. And I'm sure the listeners, our regular listeners, have listened to that. So they're going to do well. Hopefully it's the new listeners. Because we're going to bring in, if we have bad enough weather, Jester, we're going to bring in a whole new trove of people in the prepping that weren't there before. That's what happened 2 years ago. Look at all the great people we got in the prepping community because of what happened 2 years ago. Great folks.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, so the thing is, too, and we're always hearing a story from somebody. This is why I'm prepping because I've dealt with this. And Al, I honestly think this is probably the third episode I think we've done. So on winter prepping in 2022.
Right.
I actually think it is.
But the thing is, summer, we know what summer brings. Most of us, as long as you stay hydrated, stay out of the sun, don't get overheated, that's one thing. But winter, even though it's a very small, the worst part of the weather is a very small part of the time, it can be a potentially one of the most deadliest, thin little times of the year that you've got. I mean, so we kind of preach it, harp on it, but we brought great preppers in the community with what happened in Texas. We hope nothing bad happens at all. We hope everybody's fine. And hey, we're just old fuddy daddies talking about these things that you need to do, but we really want you to be safe. That's the whole main goal.
Oh, absolutely. At the end of the day, guys, this is about your survival, right?
Yep.
That's what this is about. And I wish everybody, I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. I hope everybody's safe. I hope everybody's water's still on, their power's still on. And now we'll know when we go back and listen to the downloads if people charge their phones or not for the storm.
Well, not only that, but I hope everybody, if you, let me just say this one little safety tip, because I don't harp on people what their choices are in life. But if you go somewhere and you get to drinking a little too much, just stay where you're at. Do me a favor and everybody else a favor. Just stay where you're at. Don't get in a vehicle and drive. That's one of the most simplest prepping tips that we could give anybody. If you've had too much, whatever it is, to get behind the wheel, just stay where you're at. We'd appreciate it.
Exactly, 100%. And guys, we will catch you on the next episode, which, I think that'll be, you guys will be listening to that one in 2023, I think, Al.
Yeah, be close to it. Yep, sure will.
Man. All right. Well, guys, everybody, once again, I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas, and we'll catch you on the next one.
This is an emergency action message. At approximately 1 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, NORAD is tracking 15 ICBM nuclear missiles inbound to the following cities: Orlando, Miami, Pittsburgh, Dover, Newark, Richland, Philadelphia, New York City, Baltimore, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Boston, Seattle, Detroit. This is an extremely deadly situation. Stay tuned. The next emergency message will be a presidential address.